I know for many years I was confused about ornaments and the way in which to play them. I'm hoping that this video will provide you with a little bit of an understanding, at least clarification, of these ornaments. Let's get started. So on to a few brief comments on ornaments. And I'm going to highlight in this video 4 of the ornaments: the Appoggiatura, the Mordent, the short trill, and the Trill. Of all the ornaments in Baroque music, and indeed extending into classical music, the Appoggiatura is the most important. It's the most important in terms of frequency. You'll find Appoggiaturas used to approach trills and turns. You also find Appoggiaturas on their own. But in addition to the frequency in the music, what I'm trying to say is the Appoggiatura gives an important style or feeling or pathos to the music. The Appoggiatura is a dissonant note that is most often stressed, meaning it comes on a beat. And because of that, it gives a unique sound to the music here. Let me read directly what Quantz has to say. The Appoggiatura is the first grace note he treats, which again, he gives it its significance, and I'm trying to give to you. In here he writes, "In performance, Appoggiaturas are both ornamental and essential. Without Appoggiaturas, a melody would sound very meager and plain." So these Appoggiaturas, you could say, spice up the melody, give it a very, very important emotional impact to the listener. Now here we have a table of some Appoggiaturas given by C.P.E. Bach, who was a J.S. Bach's son. This is from one of his important treatises. This is found quoted in Frederick Newman's book. And you can see here the Appoggiaturas are given as how they would be shown in the music, but we also find below how they would be played by the performer. Often the Appoggiaturas are given half the value of the note. When the note is dotted or divided in 3 parts, often the Appoggiatura is given 2 of the 3 parts of the note here. Here's some interesting things where the Appoggiatura is given the duration of the half note, the resolution given only in 8th note in this case. So the Appoggiaturas can be of varying lengths, and you would need to study the music, the composer, to find out how to play the Appoggiaturas. There is quite a bit of controversy about Appoggiaturas, and that being whether to play them on the beat or before the beat. Frederick Newman does give a table of a number of instances where the Appoggiaturas clearly need to be played before the beat. A lot of this, the reason for that is for rhythmic clarity. So let's discuss just a few things here. You will find that composers and authors disagree. C.P.E. Bach is often quoted as being the composer or theorist who is more insistent upon the Appoggiatura being on the beat, yet there are quite a few exceptions given in his music and even in his writings. Here's a few suggestions I have for you. If an Appoggiatura precedes a dissonant note, then I play it before the beat. If I play it before the beat, if I need to clarify the rhythm, and also, I'll talk a little bit more about trills and their use with Appoggiaturas below. There's a wonderful saying, Italian saying, that is trattatore traditore, which means the translator is a traitor. And here we have century-old scandal that deals with the translation of the word mordent. The correct translation is that mordent is an ornament below the main note. However, English language tradition often refers to the ornament as being above the main note. It should not be confused with a short trill. Let's take a look here at a publication of Julius Weisenborn's Opus 8, Volume 1. This was published in Leipzig probably almost a century ago. And you can see here the German is given as der Pralltriller. However, the English translation is Mordent. Pralltriller should be translated as short trill, not mordent. Unfortunately, this has been continued, this tradition, in many of the Weissenborn books that we have. Christopher Schaub has a new Weissenborn, a new practical method for bassoon, in which he correctly translates this. He shows short trill indicated by the sign without the dash through it. And you can see here that it is played upper, played above the note. There's the main note, and then here the short trill goes to the upper note. A mordent, however, is usually indicated by the slash through the sign, and in this case it should be played below the note. Now in Baroque music, the mordent, meaning the ornament below the note, is the main ornament used. Very rarely do they use the short trill. And so it's important when you apply the mordent that you use the trill below the note. Not actually trill, but the mordent below the note. Okay, let's go on. Let's talk about the trill. So we've had the short trill. Now this is the trill where there are multiple movements above the main note. It's often also termed shake. It is always an alternation above the main note. Most often it's approached by an appoggiatura, and it is concluded with what's called a Nachschlage, or the termination notes. Let's take a look at what Quantz shows here for the standard trill. Normally it would be written in music with the little grace note before the trill. We can see it right here. And then the termination, or the Nachschlage, coming after the trill. Occasionally the trill is written out with the notes combined by beams. Well, here's some suggestions as to how to apply the appoggiatura to trills. Most often I use an appoggiatura on the beat for the trills. This being for the Baroque music, that is. The exceptions are if the trill is already approached from above, if there's already a note before the trill, then I don't use an appoggiatura. And if there's a leap of a fourth or more, then often I will start on the main note. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you, just learning a little bit more about ornaments. We'll start now looking at music and hearing some playing in these following videos. For more information, you can see my website where I've got some additional materials there. God bless you. Thanks a lot.